Hello. So today I wanted to tell you about another fabulous puzzle type game, and that is Café. So in this game, it plays 1 to 4 players, and if you're playing 4 players, it is very much a multiplayer solitaire game, which I love, but just know that going in. You are essentially running a cafe and you are trying to fulfill cafe orders for different types of coffee. So everybody will get one of these round trackers and it will tell them which cafe they're doing. I'm, of course, Cafe de Brazil because it's the green one. So that will be your cafe, and you put your round marker there because the game is played over 8 turns essentially. And then everybody gets a starting card that is connected to their cafe. And the starting cards all have the same things on them, except for the order is going to be different. So you pick your cafe and you will start with one of each of the 4 types of coffee beans that are in this game. And they just go down here at the end of the game. This is your warehouse. At the end of the game, you'll score some points for your 2 lowest coffee beans. Lowest meaning you have the fewest of it. So you don't necessarily want to have a ton in your warehouse. And if you do have a lot in your warehouse, you want it spread pretty evenly so that you will get those points at the end of the game. So this kind of goes off to the side, and it just is to help you keep track of the rounds. And you now have your starting card, which these coffee icons are really important because they're what determine how many actions you're going to get on each of your 8 rounds. So every turn starts out with 3 cards coming out, and you deciding from those 3 which one you would like to add on to your, I guess it's like a tableau that you're building. So the cards have different things on them. They have coffee beans. They have this coffee action, which this would get me an additional action per round. This is a roaster, which is used to roast the beans. And then this is a small cafe. It's going to get me 2 points at the end of the game, and they only want 1 coffee delivered to them. There are other cards in here that have much larger cafes. This one would get me 6 points, but it wants 4 different coffees delivered to it. And the trick with these cafes is if I take one of these and bring it into my hand, I have to cover 2, 3, or 4 of my existing squares with squares from the new card. So I can't cover my coffee cup. Well, you can't ever cover so you have no coffee cups because that would give you no action. So I could place this potentially over here because it covers 2 spots. And I don't really want to cover up 3 spots, which would also cover up my only drying spot. Not great. So you're puzzling this out every time. You can never just cover one, and you cannot slide it underneath. You have to go on top. And in order to get the points for your cafe at the end of the game, you have to fulfill their order and still have this card visible. So what's going to happen on your turn? Let's add this one instead. So if we added this, so now I still have a option over here. I don't have a roaster yet, but we'll get another one. So I now have 2 coffee turns, and when you take a card with a coffee, you have to pay out of your warehouse for that. So I could choose my gather beans action. And this game is about optimizing. So right here, because all of these beans are connected, that's only 1 action. If these beans were not connected, let's say they were like this instead, I have beans here and here, that would take 2 actions to activate all of them. So this is where you have to be very careful about where you're placing your cards so that you optimize everything. So let's say I did that. We'll take 1 action, and so I take beans from the supply. There's a supply of a whole bunch of beans, and I would put them on there. And then for my second action, I could dry. So I would pick one of my bean types, and I would set it there to dry. Then for potentially a third action, I could roast. And for a fourth action, I could deliver. So those are the only 4 actions you can take every time. You can collect beans, you can dry, you can roast, you can deliver. Anything that can be delivered to a cafe, you send to a cafe. Anything else that is finished but cannot go to a cafe goes to your warehouse. So this is what you're doing over 8 rounds. And if you can get, say, this wouldn't be a legal placement because I did in the wrong order, but let's say you could do this where I now have 2 drying areas together for one action, I can dry 2 different types of beans, where if they're separate, it takes me 2 actions to utilize both of those fields. So it really is one of those things where you want to optimize, you want to get things grouped together, you want to decide which cafes do I want, who am I going to deliver to, how am I going to get those points, and then at the end of the game, you simply score for your delivered cafes and for your 2 lowest types of coffee in your warehouse, and whoever has the highest score wins. Or if you're playing solo, you play beat your own score. You can play this in about 15 to 20 minutes, and because it's for the most part simultaneous play, it doesn't change a lot based on player count. It's great, it's thinky, it's quick. It's one you can pull out while you're having a cup of coffee and enjoy it. I definitely recommend the game Café. I would love to know, have you played it? What do you think of it? It also comes with some expansions in it, so you can change things up a little bit. Give me a like and a follow, and I'll keep bringing you more board game content. Thanks. Bye.